Today, we'll be discussing who Martin Luther King Jr. was and how his actions impacted the future of the United States. Martin Luther King Jr. was an American civil rights activist and Baptist. He was known for fighting against segregation with peaceful protests and love. Then and now, King is acknowledged as one of the most prominent civil rights advocates for his role in spreading equality in the United States during the 1950s and 60s. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, as the middle child to two other siblings. His father was a pastor for the Ebenezer Baptist Church, and his mother, Alberta Williams, was a teacher. During his childhood, King experienced racism. He lost friends at the age of 6 due to the color of his skin. Before entering college, King had spent a summer in Connecticut at a tobacco farm. During this time, he had seen different races in the North interacting with ease. Before, he had never seen such peacefulness between those with different skin colors. At 15, King entered Morehouse College, where he participated in numerous school activities. Later, when he turned 18, King decided to become a minister at his father's church. Soon after, he entered Crozer Theological Seminary in Chester, Pennsylvania. King was elected as president of the student body at Crozer. Not only did he accomplish this, but he also went on to become valedictorian. In 1955, King received a PhD in theology from Boston University. As a student there, King met his future wife, Coretta Scott. They went on to become married in 1953, having 4 children: Yolanda Denise, Martin Luther III, Dexter Scott, and Bernice Albertine. During Martin Luther King Jr.'s adulthood, he had made several impacts influenced by the ideologies expressed by Henry David Thoreau and Mahatma Gandhi on nonviolent protests. The Montgomery bus boycott, caused by Rosa Parks, a woman who refused to give up her seat to a white man, catapulted a movement against segregated buses. In December 1955, King was elected as the head of the Montgomery Improvement Association, an association created for the purpose of getting rid of segregated buses. King fought until 1956, where the Supreme Court ruled segregated seating as unconstitutional. He was finally able to successfully get rid of segregated buses. Another big accomplishment made by King was his role in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. This group helped organizations with civil rights movements in the South. This sparked Black people to carry out peaceful protests in order to stand against segregation. In 1960, King became a co-pastor at his father's church, where he later led peaceful protests in Albany, Georgia. During King's campaign against the segregation in public spaces in Birmingham, Alabama, he was arrested and jailed in 1963. In his time in jail, King has spent his days writing letters to white clergymen in response to criticism. These letters are known as Letter from Birmingham Jail. One of the most famous and widely known campaigns by Martin Luther King Jr. was the March on Washington. On August 28, 1963, over 200,000 people attended King's speech at Washington, D.C. Here, he delivered the famous I Have a Dream speech.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
This speech expressed King's dream that someday in the future, all people, despite different backgrounds, will have equal rights, permanently eliminating racism. To King's success, the March on Washington ignited many supporters, resulting in the Civil Rights Act to be passed in 1984. This act permanently outlawed discrimination such as segregation. As a reward, King received a Nobel Peace Prize for his contributions in progressing civil rights. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life came to a tragic end when in 1968 he was assassinated by James Earl Ray in Memphis, Tennessee, while attending a strike for underpaid sanitation workers. King's death caused riots as many were angered by the actions of Earl Grey. That following year, he was buried in Atlanta. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy still lives on. Thanks to his bravery and determination for equality, we are able to live in a society where Black Americans are respected. King's ability to sway crowds into peaceful protests has proved the strength of love instead of hate. Today, he has remained as one of the most influential American figures in history.